We may have just pinpointed the exact moment that Donald Trump realized his entire campaign has been a mistake, from his choice of J.D. Vance as his VP to him underestimating VP Harris every step of the way. Donald Trump is in complete panic, complete meltdown mode. First, I just want to cover J.D. Vance and his absolutely horrendous comments about people without children. I see why Donald Trump is regretting him, because doubling down on the MAGA movement in an election that could be won at the margins is incredibly dangerous. Really quickly, Randy Singer tweeted, "As a writer, my favorite ending to Donald Trump's story would be him losing to a black woman." Leave a like on this video if you agree. That is absolutely the best ending, and I think VP Harris is the person to do it.
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Now, people will say, and I'm sure the Atlantic and the Washington Post and all the usual suspects will criticize me about this in the coming days.
Not just the Atlantic, not just the Washington Post, any normal American who understands that everybody's vote should be equal, whether you have a child or not. These people act like they love the Constitution, but they want to completely rewrite it. Also, Donald Trump always calls VP Harris radical when his VP is genuinely incredibly radical. He wants to rewrite the entire way that we're supposed to vote in the United States. This article reads, J.D. Vance has made it impossible for Trump to run away from Project 2025. He wrote the foreword for a new book by Project 2025's architect and has backed some of its most extreme ideas. Former President Donald Trump has lately been trying to distance himself from Project 2025. He claims it's something on the far right. He claims he hasn't even heard of the Heritage Foundation, which is a easily debunkable lie. He has praised them multiple times in the past, but ever since it hit the national stage, you can see Donald Trump trying to distance himself. But it turns out the severe right is coming from inside the House. Kevin Roberts, the self-proclaimed, quote, head of Project 2025, has a book coming out in September, and the book's foreword is written by Trump's VP candidate, J.D. Vance, who praises its ideas. Kevin Roberts was the guy that said there will be a bloodless revolution if the left allows it to be. Quote, never before has a figure with Robert's depth and stature within the American right tried to articulate a genuinely new future for conservatism, Vance writes, according to the book's Amazon page, and he is literally referencing Project 2025 right here. So in a time when Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025, Vance decides to tie them, connect them even more closely. And at the same time, VP Harris is winning over young voters. Young voters are moving toward Harris and feeling less meh about voting. A new poll shows VP Harris outperforming Donald Trump in swing states among registered voters 30 years and younger, and data shared first with Semaphore. The survey, conducted by Chains Research for Investing in U.S., an investment fund, found Harris leading Trump by 24 points. Harris also surpassed President Biden by 20 points, compared with a similar poll last June comparing Biden, Trump, and RFK Jr. in Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, all of the key swing states that could decide the election. So VP Harris has been turned into a pretty cool meme. The memes are badass, and it is mobilizing, it is energizing the people in my generation that Biden had trouble winning over and that Trump is also having trouble winning over. So I'm hoping this energy is able to carry on for the next 4 months, and it is reflected in the polls, and that is most likely why Donald Trump is panicking so hard. I want you to listen very closely to him just a few hours ago, calling in to Fox News, sounding incredibly panicked. I don't think I've ever heard Donald Trump sound so panicked. He's talking quickly. He is out of breath. I was cracking up when I heard this. Listen.
Are high. They're higher than they've ever been. People don't like what they're doing. They weaponize it to go after a political opponent. Now, and she was very much in charge, and she was a prosecutor, but she was a failed prosecutor. She put a lot of people in jail that should have never been there. She put people in jail that were political enemies. She's bad news. She's a radical left, not very smart person.
Donald Trump calls Kamala Harris a radical leftist who's not smart, but then also calls her a failed prosecutor who locks up everyone in sight. So which is it? Does she want to lock lock everyone up, or does she want to defund the police and abolish prisons like radical leftists do? Donald Trump is scrambling. Meanwhile, VP Harris is giving great speeches. This was just an hour ago. Not only does VP Harris call out Project 2025, but notice how she's using this forward-looking rhetoric.
As we work to build a brighter future and to move our nation forward, there are those who are really trying to take us backward. And you, I'm sure, have seen their agenda. Project 2025. Randy, can you believe they put that thing in writing? 900 pages in writing. So Project 2025 is a plan to return America to a dark past. Donald Trump and his extreme allies want to take our nation back to failed trickle-down economic policies, back to union busting, back to tax breaks for billionaires. Donald Trump and his allies want to cut Medicare and Social Security, to stop student loan forgiveness for teachers and other public servants. And I say to AFT, they even want to eliminate the Department of Education.
That is the big one right there. The elimination of the Department of Education blows my mind and would hurt so many lower income students. They would hurt students all over the income spectrum because it would rip funding away from teachers. Teachers would be laid off. Their salaries would be cut. Kids wouldn't have access to updated technology, updated curriculum. It would be a mess. And I've been waiting. I think all Democrats in America have been waiting for a Democrat that can come out and explain the threat of Donald Trump. All due respect to President Biden. He has been an amazing president, but as a candidate during the last few weeks of his campaign, I think he sort of lost the plot and was getting too defensive rather than prosecuting the case against Donald Trump. And VP Harris is doing just that. She's coming out there and she's giving the list of ways that Donald Trump and the other MAGA Republicans would gut our lifestyle. They would strip our rights away, not just slowly, but at a rapid pace. Donald Trump learned from his first term that he needs loyalists around him, and that explains why he chose JD Vance. So to bring it back to the beginning of the video, Donald Trump chose JD Vance for two reasons. Number one, he needed a MAGA loyalist, someone who is a sycophant and would follow Donald Trump every step of the way, because Mike Pence didn't do that. Mike Pence split at the most important moment in Donald Trump's eyes, right when he was trying to steal the election. And number two, because Donald Trump got so cocky, he thought he could easily double down on the MAGA movement, on this MAGA craziness, and get away with it, but he didn't even take into account a Kamala campaign. How would JD Vance look going up against a diverse ticket of people who are actually experienced versus two white men? Neither of them have held office for any amount of significant time. I mean, JD Vance has been a senator for 2 years. Donald Trump accidentally lucked his way into the presidency. Either way, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, have a great day.